Hey everybody, Scout Crafter here. You're at the flea market. You see an adjustable wrench for 50 cents. You say, hey, is this a good deal? Don't buy it until you watch this video. Okay, the first thing you want to look for when you pick up a wrench is obviously you want to see the overall general condition. You want to shake it to see how much slop is involved. And you want to close it up. Now, if this is a little bit stiff, it's okay. You can always lubricate it and get it to work. But you want to make sure these jaws close up as tight as they can be. Now this one here has a little bit of a gap, maybe a 32nd of an inch, but that's okay because it's parallel the gap. Now when you open it up to, let's say about halfway, you want to grab the bottom jaw and see how much play you have this way, back and forth. Side to side, it doesn't matter too much, but back and forth is where you're going to round the nuts. So if this one here don't have a lot of play, the jaws are in pretty good shape, they're straight, so this one here would be a good buy. Let me show you examples of a bad buy. See this one here? Now this is a Klein. This one here is worn out, and I'll show you what happens. First of all, look at the play you have here. You see how the thumb wheel is moving back and forth? You have over an eighth of an inch of play. Bad news. Secondly, look at the jaws. They close, but they have they're not parallel. They're pinching towards the tip. That's the worst kind, because now that's going to lock onto the nut when you try and take it off, slide it off. I'll show you in a minute. Stay away from something like this. Here's a 100-year-old Buffalo Barcalo. Now this is a it's a wall hanger. It's 100 years old. I have no problem with this being worn out, but watch this. You see how that jaw moves side to side? This is the worst kind of wear. When it does that, that's what rounds your nuts off. Okay, and I'm going to show you what I mean over here at the nut tester. We're here at the wrench tester real quick. Now, if you notice, with any good, decent wrench that's set up correctly, parallel, not too much slop, when you put it on, you snug it up with your thumb, and as you turn it, this wrench will go on easily, off easily, and it will operate the way it should without rounding the nut off or having a problem. Now, with a wrench like this, that the jaws aren't parallel, or there's too much, so when you put it on, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to snug it up, and then you're going to turn. Now, when you go to take it off, it's locking up. You can't get it off. So now, this is where you're going to have your problem. Now you're going to have to try and loosen it once it's locked up. This is a nightmare to work with. So there's only one thing you could do, and that's you can grind the jaws to try and get them parallel, but that's not going to get rid of the slop here. To get rid of this slop, you might be able to put a small washer there that'll hold this back a little bit. But again, don't mess with these wrenches. Not for 50 cents. It's not worth it. Another good test to see how your wrenches are, even if the ones you have at home are lined up properly, is to snug up a bolt into the vise. Take your wrench, put it onto the bolt, snug it up nice and tight. First, see how much play you have this way. Here we have, what do we have, an eighth of an inch? It's very acceptable. And then slide it off. Now that wrench, this is set up well, it'll work well. Now I'm going to show you the same test with this worn out wrench. Now if we put that onto the bolt and we snug it up as tight as we can get it, there we go. That's as tight as we can get it. And look how much play we have. Now this kind of play means we're going to turn the corners. We're resting on the corners instead of the parallels of the bolt, of the head, or even of the nut, whatever you're using it for. That's going to round off. That's why these things were, typically frowned upon. But they're good if they're set up properly. If they're worn out, get rid of them. Now we'll take this wrench over to the belt sander and get the jaws to be parallel. We'll put a washer in here, and this will be a wrench I'm going to loan out to my neighbor next time he's doing a job. Now there's lots of ways to do this, but I'm using the 1-inch belt sander to make them parallel. Okay, we got the jaws parallel now, and they work well. And also I was able to find 2 brass spacer washers to put in between both sides of here. Now some of the other, like I know the Crescents and other wrenches have a little spring in there, but there is no pocket in here for a spring. So now it still has some movement, but it took it down quite a bit. So let's go over to the nut tester and see how we can do with this. Okay, we're at the tester here. We'll tighten this up, see how much play we have. Looks pretty good. Now we'll see how easy this comes off. Okay, that's the key. On and off easily. So now we don't have that pinching problem anymore. The jaws will close up. You could see they're parallel. Even if they don't touch, that's okay. We don't have any nuts that are 3/32 or less. So that's it. This one was, and those washers took out some of the play, but not all of it. But anyway, hope that helps. And thanks very much for tuning in. Take care. Have a nice day.